Hey everyone, welcome back to Beekeeping with Natalie, or welcome to if you are new. Today we're going to be adding some supers, and if you see a swarm behind me, no you don't, because we're just going to ignore that for right now. But we tried really hard not to get too many swarms, we always do, but I think this year we just had some weather and I think a couple of them might have swarmed on us. But this is the first swarm that we've had in this yard this year, from what I've seen at least. Now, it's been rainy the last 2 days. This is the third day that it's been rainy, so they can build up a lot in that time, and then right when the sun comes out, they usually will start to swarm. And also they tend to swarm right before a storm. I don't know why that is, but it always happens for us. And there are some tornado watches around, so I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but it almost looks like we have swarming right here too, but I think it's just because I kind of blocked their entrance, which is my bad. But anyways, we're going to add supers today. I'm going to kind of show you what that looks like and why we're doing it. So the weather app is a beekeeper's best friend, because if you want to kind of get an idea of what the next week is going to look like, you're going to want to check the weather. And for us, we saw that there was going to be 3 rainy days, so we had to make sure that we got supers on, because usually our black locust starts early May-ish, and it's finally May, or actually it's not May yet, but almost there. So it's the 27th. And I think they're kind of blooming black locusts, but not fully, and I haven't really seen bees on it. But there is some type of flow right now, and I believe it might be blackberries. So we're gonna put supers on, that way we can catch whatever it is. And we're not doing any comb yet, which I'll have more videos on that. But right now, we have a lot of drawn comb, and we keep it and we store it for next year to make sure that we can get that early stuff. That way they don't have to go through and build out foundation, but we do still want them building something out. So we just have a 10 frame medium, and then all of these are drawn, but there's 2 frames in the middle that are foundation. That way we're still getting something out of it and they're still drawing it out. So we put it right in the middle, so they start working that first, but they still have drawn comb that they can just immediately put honey into, or fresh nectar. So that's what we're using right now. I've got these 2 hives. These were split down a couple of weeks ago, and they're actually down there. They've got queens in them. I believe they've already laying. They're doing good. So these were split down to just a single, but then we added a double. We added another box to make them a double, so that way they could build up, and they had enough room. That way, if it did decide to rain or whatever happened, they would still have some space up there. Now, if we do go back and if we split them again, right before the honey flow, we'll keep them as singles and we'll do single brood on those. But I kind of messed up and I ended up adding a lot of doubles because I was worried about swarming. So we have a lot of doubles, but I prefer doing it that way instead of single brood. I just think single brood is a lot of work and there's more management to it, which is what most people say, but you do end up getting more honey out of it. Anyways. So, looks like I'm missing a frame in here, but I don't think I brought any deeps over. So what you can do is, a lot of times I tell people, if you see some type of burr comb on the top of it, a lot of the times that means there's some type of flow on, or maybe you missed a flow, something's happening because they're building that burr comb, and a lot of times there's just fresh nectar in there. So I've been seeing a lot of that lately. Now, if I open up the hive, and they just look packed and I'm trying to get through them before it rains, I'll just add a super. I don't even go through and check them. But if they look really full and I'm a little bit concerned about swarming, I'll lift the box here and check for swarm cells. Now, I don't think this is going to have any swarm cells because this box was just recently added and it feels somewhat light, but I'm still going to check. So we've just got a bunch of cups, which a lot of people can freak out about, but there's always cups no matter what, so there's just a ton in here, but doesn't look like any of them are built out or laden, but I still kind of go through and smash them a little bit. But I'm going to say they're ready for a super. Now, you have to, whoops, I just smushed her and then got stung. It's my fault. You have to be thinking about the next few days and how fast they can actually build up. So if you open the hive and think, I don't know if they really need it, if you have to think about it, probably most of the time they do actually need a super. So these girls don't look crazy full, and maybe they're not fully working these outside frames, but I'm not going to be able to get into them for the next, let's say 3-4 days, maybe a week. So I want to prepare them for that. I mean, this is just full of fresh nectar. Another thing you can do is whoops, they're not very happy with me. Another thing you can do is the frame shake, and that's basically just shaking the frame and seeing if there's nectar, and there very much is. So if you get up close, you can see all of the nectar that just fell out of the frame. So we're not feeding this yard, so this is just fresh nectar. So they are absolutely ready for some supers. So let's do that before they keep stinging me. This is actually the mean hive, and I always tend to do a video on them because they're just the first hive over here. But anyways, so queen excluders, they're talked about a lot and some people don't use them. I'm going to use them just because I do have comb frames in here. If it was just foundation, I would think about just leaving the queen excluder off, because a lot of the times they don't want to go through it to put like nectar in there. They don't want to start working it if it's just foundation. But this is mostly drawn, so I'm going to put the queen excluder on, especially because I won't be in here for a little while. And then again, thinking ahead, I say this every year, but it's just super important to be thinking about the next couple of days. You could just add one super, but they're gonna build this really fast, especially with them having that outside frame already full of nectar. So I'm gonna add 2 supers. It's very rare that I'm gonna add just one. Now, if you are doing, they're just not happy today. If you are only doing 9 frames, one of the things that I would suggest doing is, they have like little spacers you can use, but one of the things that we do is we just shake the box and then it kind of evens them out a little bit. So that's just one little thing, but I'm gonna do 10 for now, and then once they start building these out, I'll probably come back through and pull these. But I don't want these frames to be crazy thick, so we're just gonna do 10 right now, 2 supers, and then we'll be back here before we know it to probably add more supers. Now, we usually get a dearth between black locust and then like our main flow, but the way this year is going, I'm not sure we are gonna have a dearth. We probably will, but I don't know if we really are. So we're gonna definitely be back here checking and staring at trees, seeing if bees are on it too. Now, this is also another time, if your hive is just packed full and you pull that lid off and there's just bees all over the lid, you are gonna wanna check for the queen. Just make sure, or you can shake it into that deep right there. That way she doesn't end up in the super, but just one thing to also think about. So let's do one more over here. Now, another thing you could do, if you're not sure if they're gonna be blowing up in the next couple days, I would go through the hive and actually check to see where they're at. So if I'm seeing a decent amount of bees, but I'm just not sure if they really need a super, I'll go through and check her brood pattern to see how much brood they have in there. And if it's just like solid frames of brood, I know they're about to blow up in a couple of days, so I want to make sure I'm getting extra space on there. Because if we don't, they'll swarm just like that one. Actually, let's just come over here and check this. That's huge. That actually really sucks, because I know that's probably one of our hives. I don't know if you can see, but just up in there, in that tree, they're all clustered up. That's a pretty big swarm. I'm gonna see if I can find which hive it is, because likely that hive doesn't have a queen right now. And we did bring some mated queens. Oh, we're just showing everything. You can see who's working down there. Anyways, we did bring some mated queens if we need to do something with that. We're also requeening a few right now if they need that too. Okay, so this outside frame doesn't look full or like they're really on it. But if there's just solid frames of brood, so this is just full of nectar. Yeah, so they're gonna fill that up before we know it. So I'm definitely gonna add some supers. I'm gonna just add to pretty much all of them. I mean, this is full also. So there's some drone brood down there. I'm just gonna go towards the middle to see if there's any brood in here. This is a new box, so if there's only like larvae, then I wouldn't be too surprised. Yeah, so it's just eggs and larvae, which is still good because it's a solid pattern here. Not capped yet, but getting there. So I'm still gonna add some supers here. It doesn't take long. just checking to see where they're at, kind of. It's always better to be safe than sorry with these kind of situations. So I'm definitely going to add here, and I'm just going to do the same thing I did with this hive. Oh, they keep getting up in that sleeve. This is actually a Beekeeping with Natalie t-shirt if you guys want to check it out. I don't know if I ever really say this, but I think this is the flag one, right? I've got it in green, black, and I've got some other t-shirts. I don't even know, do we link my website in the, I think we do, it's in the description if you want to check that out. I don't usually wear these t-shirts because propolis here is actually crazy. So these are the exact same, just 2 foundation frames in the middle here. I didn't do a tip test on that one. Probably should have, but the way that the outside frames were pretty empty, I wasn't thinking they had any swarm cells, but I would recommend doing a tip test. This frame, or this lid, doesn't really have anything on it, so I'm not worried about the queen being on there, but that's pretty much it. We're just gonna go through and do that, and same thing on singles. We could add an extra box and have them build up, but they're just gonna end up using that top box as a super anyways, so we're gonna add supers to them, or a queen excluder. That way we get the honey, but I think that's pretty much it. So we're gonna catch that swarm and put them somewhere, hopefully figure out who swarmed, take care of that today, and then just keep going through and adding supers. Hopefully we have a good season this year, but so far it's looking really good. Anyways, thanks for watching today's video. Follow along for more bee adventures, and be here next time on Beekeeping with Natalie.